So here Justin's coming up and hooking onto his stone boat. It's pretty neat how he comes in close and then sidesteps over to get in front of it. I would have come further out in the front and then backed him up to get square to it, but it's pretty neat that he's so proficient at sidestepping like that. It's tough to do with multiple teams, or if you're have a young, fast-growing team. But with my mature team, I got a chain that I liked, and I cut it to just the right length, so it's easy for me to hook it into the clevis on the yoke and then hook right to my load, and I know it's always right, and I don't have to goof around with adjusting it.
Digger, put out. Put out. Boy, those are put in. Put in. G. Up. Up. G. G.
What a handsome looking team of steers there. Well matched and nice and clean, physically fit. It's a good looking team.
G. Up. Up. Haul around. Haul around. Digger, haul around. Digger, haul around. Put in dozer. Digger, haul around. Put in dozer. Whoa, put in dozer. Dozer, put in. Good boy. Back. Haul around. Digger, haul. Oh. Oh, stand there.
Working in the woods makes cattle pretty calm and cool, and really helps slow down the hot ones. Even the hottest of cattle, if you spend a few days in the woods with them, it kind of helps chill them out a little bit, I think.
G. Ho! Ho! Digger, put in, dozer, put out off. Digger, put in, dozer, put out off. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Digger, put in. Digger, put in. Good boy. G. Knock it off. G, come up. Digger, step up.
Not that it seems to be causing him any trouble, but if I wanted just to pick on something, I could say he could shorten his chain up a little bit.
All around. All around. All around.
Taking a nice square corner again. If you're in a show and you're being judged, that's the way you want to do it. You kind of stop them, sidestep them, keep them off the chain, and then move forward again, so you're making very square corners. It's just kind of a character flaw of mine, I think, that no matter what I'm doing, I always want to be fast. So I just try to be fluid and smooth. Not that one's right or wrong, just a little bit different. In this next little part here where he's hooked up to the stone boat, you can kind of see that his off steer is a little bit slower than his nigh one. He kind of lags back a little bit. My team does that too. For me, it's my nigh one that's slower. And I've heard all kinds of advice on how to speed up the slow one and slow down the fast one. And everything I did, I just couldn't figure it out. And so I finally just had to accept it and figure that's the way it is. And they're getting the job done. So that's all that really matters. The other cool thing I see Justin doing here is he sticks his whip in his back pocket and he always knows where it is. I swear I spent half my day out in the woods trying to figure out where I left my stick. Now they're wanting to take off and go. They think they know where they're going and they don't need him. And so Justin is telling them, nope, you do need me, and you're going to wait here until I get out in front. So that's good. He's maintaining control and not letting them pick up any bad habits.
Dozer, put in, digger, put out G. Dozer, put in, digger, put out G. Come up, step. Come up. Whoa. Oh, oh, boys. G, come up. Come up. Whoa, back, back. Back up, back, back. Back up, back up.
When I do that sidestepping thing that you see Justin doing on those corners, the way I make the team do it is I stand right in front of them and then tell them to either G or haw. And they don't want to run me over, so if I'm standing right in front of them telling them to G, then kind of sidestep to follow the command without entering my space too much.
Whoa, stand. Stand. Boys. Boys. Stand.
So now here we're unyoking, putting the halters or collars back on.
Stand.
There's that twisted whip in his back pocket again.
Whoa, stand. Ho, stand.
As Carl Russell
back.
recently pointed out,
Those
this
are
is a great
Those are back up.
great skill to have. If you ever are in a pinch and you have to unhook a yoke, take a bow out in the woods, you really want them to be able to stand like that for you. So, great job, Justin.
Whoa. Whoa. Digger, put in. Dozer, put out. Haw.
So here's Justin driving
Put
the
in.
boys.
Dozer, put out. Haw. Whoa.
One of the things I noticed right away
Dozer, put out.
is
Ho, ho, ho.
he's got a lot of intensity, but it's all very controlled. If I was talking that loud, I think I would key up my animals so much. But it's loud and forceful, but very restrained at the same time. One of the things I would like to see is what's the second ring on the yoke look like? How does that attach to the yoke? It's not a grab ring,
Digger,
so
put
I'm
in.
curious just
Digger, put
what
in.
that looks like there.
Stand. Stand.
And just a question on the way he's chaining them there with that big long loop.
Ho, ho, ho.
I'm always nervous that they'll get
Digger,
a
put
foot
out.
into that loop
Put out.
as they're pulling. And I just
Dozer,
would
put in.
wonder, has that ever
in.
happened?
G.
So
Up. Up. G. G.
the one place where he doesn't seem to use any intensity at all is when asking them to move forward. Everything there, and so I think that really sets up the team to move forward in a very controlled manner.
Haw around. Digger, haw around. Digger, haw
Just
around.
something I noticed there.
Digger, haw around. Put in, Dozer. Whoa, put in, Dozer. Dozer, put in. Good boy. Back. Haw around.
And it's clear the animals are curious and at the same time listening.
Stand. Heads up. Heads up. Heads up. Boys, heads up. Heads up. Heads up.
And Justin and I have talked about it before. He always puts the goad stick in his pocket, and that's just something that's different than what I do. And my reasoning is that it looks like the stick is up, and so I wouldn't want to inadvertently give him the cue. That doesn't seem to at all be happening with this team, but just for my own thought process, that's why I don't do it.
Up, G. Ho, ho. Digger, put in, Dozer, put out, haw. Digger, put in, Dozer, put out, haw. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
And when I was watching this the first time, I was thinking we're a couple of minutes into this, and I'm not sure as he's ever actually touched the team. So there's a lot of movement with the whip, a lot of swishing it around, things like that to get their attention. But there's very little contact with the team, and so it's really
Haw around. Digger, step up.
it's using it like a conductor's baton, I think.
Dozer, easy. Easy. G. G. Back up. Boys, back up. Back up. Back. Back. Digger, put in, haw. Digger, put in, Dozer, put out, haw. Head up. Digger, put
This
in,
team
Dozer,
backs
put out, haw.
really, really well,
Whoop.
so it's
Whoop.
clear that that's something that he wants them to do.
Stand. Dozer, put out. Dozer, put out.
And I would assume that the team is heading back toward the house or back toward the barn at this point. It's really common with oxen that they want to, or any animals, is that they want to get back to the barn. And so there's just this whole segment right through here.
Stand.
He's doing a lot with the voice, just talking to them to keep them under control because they would want to be heading back.
Stand. Stand. Ho, ho. Ho. Back up. Digger, put in.
And I also noticed how he parked
Ho,
them
back up. Ho.
so he didn't have to move them around once he was starting to hook to the stone boat. Is they were in the right spot, and then it's just a matter of getting the chain to the stone boat.
Stand. Ho. Stand. Stand.
And I notice his body language here is when he's moving himself forward, he's he's keeping control of the team, but then trying to not give them a cue that they should be moving forward. And then it's just a very subtle come up, and then they move forward. And these boys look like they just came out of the car wash. They're just so shiny. And it's hard to get a sense of how tall they are because Justin is so tall.
Back up, back up. Oh. G over, G. Whoa, ho. Digger, ho, stand. Up. Paw. Up. G.
And we've talked about it before. Justin and I have talked about just having a purpose for anything he does, and it's clear that if they're going to head someplace, they're going to head exactly where he wants them to head. And so there's a lot of stopping them, turning them, then moving forward.
Stand.
Also, got to give props to the kids who have been shooting these videos. They're doing a good job. They're spoiled. I got to set up on a tripod and turn a camera on and run to get the team.
Those are back. Those are back up.
And this, just look at the control there. Just gives him a voice command to back up and then tells him to stand, and there he is. So this is not a new routine for him. Still trying to get a look at that ring, so I'm going to have to see a picture of that.
Teenagers.
You know how old they are? You said teenagers.
I don't know, but they look like they're,
Oh, they're 2-year-olds.
you know,
Right in that
2-year-olds.
category.
So they're, you know, they've had enough experience that they might have a mind of their own.
They don't look like deadheads, but they're acting good.
No, they are.
What, are you recording now?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Yeah,
Whoops,
we're
I'm messing
recording.
them.
Yeah. So, yeah, the outside,
Oh, volume, yeah.
the outside steer steps in nice.
Digger, put out. What? Those are put in. G. Up. G. Up. Oh. Stand.
It's a good whoa. He said whoa once and they stopped.
G.
That's good.
Up. Haul around. Digger, haul around. Put in dozers. Digger, haul around. Put in dozers. Whoa, put in dozers. Put in. Switch away. Back.
Do you think he gave him a bath for this video?
Oh.
They're nice and clean.
Yeah.
They look good.
Stand.
They definitely have pulled stuff before. They didn't,
Yeah.
you know. This is an easy pull. They're going to feel good, you know, be successful doing it.
Digger, put in, dozer, put out, Paul. Whoa. Digger, put in. Good boy. Gee.
He's talking to them all the time and he's repeating the commands, but they respond when he uses that real sharp
Yeah.
tone.
All around.
See, he uses the whip, but he's not touching them. It's,
Yep.
it's sound trained.
Yep.
I like that.
That's really nice.
Back up. Boys, back up. Back.
It looks like they got too close to the log, but he did a great job of moving them where he wanted them to be without getting close to them. He just directed them and they
Stand, good boy.
That's handy.
Stand. Those are put out. Those are put out. Those are put out. Put out. Stand. Head up. Oh. Oh. Stand. 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 Oh, oh. Oh.
So he was anticipating that they might step up, so that's why he was saying stand so much, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. He knows his team.
Oh. Stand. Stand. Good boys. Stand. Out. Stand. 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 Stand.
I think this is really good. He's making sure that the cattle are right where they need to be before he makes them pull. He's just insisting that they stay put. Even though they want to go, he's making them stay put.
Those are put in, digger, put out, back up. Those are put in, digger, put out, G. Those are put in, digger, put out, G. Those are put in, digger, put out, G. Back up. Back up, digger, back up. Back up. Those are put in, digger, put out, G. Those are put in, digger, put out, G. Up, step. Up. Whoa. Oh, oh, boys. G, up. Up. Whoa, back, back. Back up, back, back. Back up, back up. Oh, oh.
I notice he stands real close to his cattle when he's driving them.
Whoa, whoa. Oh, digger, oh, stand.
Well, the wheelbarrow was in the way, too.
Up, ball. Up. G, 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 G. Whoa, stand, good boys. Stand. Good boys. Good boys.
I bet he made his own bows.
Stand.
Yeah.
Stand.
Did you notice how he's got that yoke pinned? I think we could do that with that red yoke that
Oh,
I
yeah.
Back.
redid to reinforce
Those are back up.
wood.
Yeah. That's a nice little routine, having them step back up.
One thing on the bows, I see you've got a lot of holes in them. I have trouble when you get the holes that many. Sometimes it splits the bow, and I think it would be might put the holes farther apart and use your washer spacers, so you didn't have to have so many holes,
Yeah.
and might help the longevity of the bows themselves.
Yeah. Good video. Really nice.
Okay, so this day what I was doing was some stone boat work, just some really light work with a few small rocks on the stone boat. I had it in a really tight spot, so I brought them up, sidestepped them over to line up with the boat, trying to give them the commands in the right sequence to make sure that they did exactly what I wanted them to do. Now I hitch from between them, so I go between them and hook the chain up. And in my opinion, stone boat work, the most important thing is the chain length to make sure it's not too short. You don't want their feet hitting the drag when they're going forward. So now you get into the psychology of the animal. I'm telling my off animal to put in. Digger put in, digger put in. Give him the command 2, 3, 4 times, and he does it right there. No reinforcement with a stick. Now, what I tell people is there's a time span from when you tell the command to the animal, it registers, they hear it, it registers in their brain, and then they take an action. And you have to give the animal time to think about it before reinforcing it with a stick, and especially before reinforcing something with a lead or a halter. Because what ends up happening is you don't give that animal enough time to think about it and actually do the work themselves. And that time span gets shorter and shorter as they get older and better. So now we're in the woods, moving some brush aside. My father used to log with horses, and he'd always say you got to be careful with what's sticking out of the ground. So that always kind of stuck with me whenever I'm in the woods. So now we introduce new commands as they get older too, and sometimes they're unique to you and your animals. So like I tell mine to haw around to make a tight haw turn, G around to make a tight G turn. So now we're lined up to where we're going to hitch the chain, tell them to keep their heads up, lots of distractions. It's okay if they sniff around and they start maybe nibbling a little bit, but just try to correct it. And keep those eyes on the back of your head open. Always take the cues of them moving a foot, leaning one way or the other. And if you can anticipate their movement and stop them or correct them, they become extremely well behaved in the long run, although that takes time. So now we're dragging the stick out through some trees. I'm going to stop them, loud whoa, and then reinforce it with the stick of the whip. And you can hear that whip, going through the air and making a noise. And I like it because it gives them that visual and audible cue. I don't even have to make contact. Hauling them over, making sure my off one is put in. My near one, I want his butt to be stuck out a little bit so that as they move forward, that chain doesn't hit their legs. Really important whenever we're doing chain work. And now I'm going to haul them around. That whip twice. Again, that's why I like the whip, because it gives me that extra assurance that I can use that and give them a visual and audible cue. And you can see I'm kind of driving them from behind a little bit. Gives me a lot of flexibility on where I can stand as well if I'm totally relying on voice command. So now we're going to line up with the stone boat and hitch back up, and they're done. We've worked a good portion of the day. They're tired. They want to get back. And you're going to see some things here where I was frustrated at the time, but it was a great example of what can happen with tired animals who just want to be done. So I'm putting my near one out, keeping that lash in front of his face so he doesn't step up. I just want him to step out. I'm going to hook up the chain, keeping an eye on that, making sure the chain isn't too short or too long. Obviously, it's the chain I use all the time, so I know right where to hook it, but if you have to do it a couple times and adjust the length, do it. Telling them to stand, especially when they're antsy and they want to move. Always constantly talking to them. Okay, now here I want to get ahead of them, and you see they bolt forward. I'm trying to get ahead of them so that I can call them through because there's stuff on each side. Now, they want to go, and I'm not going to make them go because if we end on a bad note, I've just taught them to misbehave. So it may take 3 or 4 or 5 times. It may take unhitching from whatever you're pulling, turning them around, going the opposite direction, and then resetting them. But stay away from doing a couple things. Stay away from having that halter or that lead wrapped around their bow and kind of grabbing that instinctively, because that just teaches them to only stop when you pull on it. And also rely on that voice, loud, very precise commands, and do it consistently, and they will listen eventually. It takes some time, but they'll do it. So now we're making a G-turn, just putting the boat back, just dumping it off basically. And you can see when I sidestep them to the right or to the left, I typically will stop, sidestep them, make sure that if I'm turning right, my off animal's butt is sticking out. And then as we go forward, the chain should stay off their legs. Dragging a weighted drag is very important. But also, if you want to work on finesse, drag an empty, light stone boat, because that thing will flip around and the chain will move. And if you can drive it and keep that chain away from their legs, then you can do just about anything. So now we're going to bring them back. Calling them through gates is something that you should be training your animals to do, at least in my opinion, from day one. As they get older, they can do damage if they push you against the gate or the fence post. So make sure they stop. You walk through, you call them through. Now they're going to want to go back to where they're being unyoked. And you know what? If they're tired and it's the last 8 or 10 feet and they just decide not to listen and they go back, that's okay. Don't go crazy. Don't get too hot, but make sure that you back them up, do a figure 8, turn them around, or unyoke them somewhere else. You need to win the game as a teamster. Do not let them get away with anything. And that's really important with anything you're trying to do, but especially at the end of the day when they kind of know they're done, don't let them get away with it. Make sure that you win. So we're putting their collars back on. I'm going to unyoke my near one, take the bow out, and then I have him back up under it. He wants to go before I even take that bow out, but I'm telling him to stand, stay in place, and then he moves when I want him to move. Put the bow back in the yoke, and then I'm going to unyoke the off one. And at that point, they know they're done. That's their cue to say, okay, you guys are done. You can not listen to me anymore as far as what, the commands. I still want them obviously to listen to me, but they know they're done for the day. So, and they've behaved very well, but we were able to mitigate some of those bad habits. So.